I will do the speaking in English. If you need a translation, I know that there are some devices outside to receive the information in French. We will be talking about how the endpoint management market is evolving and what is needed today. That is not only to have the administration in order to ensure that one device can be following what the company policies are creating, are deploying, but also we need to understand the security layer and one important part, the experience. How the users are working today using that particular device, those applications in order to perform the work. Because if they are not happy with the device, because probably it's slow, the system is crashing all the time, or the application is not accessible, they will be frustrated. If the employee is frustrated, they will not be able to provide a quality of service for your customers. So probably your product that you are selling is good product, is probably something that is helping to the people. People are interested to purchase your products, but probably your employees are not happy with the internal systems and they are not providing the right solutions, the right support, or the right selling to your customers. One important thing that could affect your businesses. That is why I will start mentioning some questions that every administrator should take in consideration inside of each company. The first one is understanding who is accessing to the endpoints. Each person have one endpoint dedicated for them. And when we are talking endpoints, we need to understand that is any type of device that employee need in order to perform the work. That could be a desktop, physical desktop in a desk, or could be a laptop because everybody today is using a laptop. We are not probably using anymore a physical tower in our desk, but could be a mobile device, could be a tablet, or even the browser could be considered an endpoint. Because some years ago, we have one brand that created one device named Chromebook. Everybody is aware of that, right? And what is the meaning of a Chromebook? It's a physical device without any storage locally. I turn on, I log in, and I have a browser. And inside of the browser, I'm working completely as a service on cloud. That's meaning if somebody are thinking that I can install a malware on that computer, they will say, no, it's not possible because nothing is installed in the local storage. But today, what people are doing is installing extensions. And those extensions could be malicious extensions. Those extensions could be capturing what I am entering in my browser. If I am connecting to the bank, I am typing my password, and probably there is a keylogger in a browser extension that is capturing everything that is happening in my operation. So that is why it is important. The word endpoint is so broader, including one server, Windows server, Linux server, or whatever other flavor we have, is also an endpoint and needs to be aligned to the management layer, to the security layer, and to the experience layer also. So that is why it's very important, like how many endpoints I have in my organization, all the types, who access to this endpoint. They are accessing inside of my network if everybody is coming to office, or if I have different branches, if my branches are connected to the main office, to the headquarters, if I have people that are working remotely or hybrid, they are connected from home, but using a dedicated line to me, could be a VPN, could be another type of connection or authentication, or they are going directly to internet, and from internet, they are doing like a jump into the organization through different applications like a gateway proxies. We need to have a proper visibility, understanding how is my environment. Just at the moment I have the environment, I need to go to the next layer, that is privileges. The users are connected to these devices, and these devices are entering into my organization using local credentials, using Active Directory, using Entra ID, using Google authentication, using different identity providers. I need to have that visibility. And second, as soon that person is logging, what kind of privileges they have. If they are local users, probably they have local admin. They can install, uninstall, or they can connect to any other application because they are the owner of the device, we can say it. So that kind of visibility is the first question I need to have. If I don't have the answer to that, we started with the first problem. Or if I say it very like a general answer, like I think we have 1,000 devices. That's meaning you are not sure. At that moment, you already have one concern. Second, these devices are used, as I was saying before, in one single network environment, or remotely, or distributed. How you are applying the policies? What kind of policies do you have? Some companies create policies like a normal policies, not restrictively. We can say that I want to put a wallpaper in all of the laptops or the computers with the logo of the company. Something very simple, okay? I can distribute that policy. That policy is just more because human resource told me that we need to do that. But we can go to the next type of policies. Policies that really are helping me to reduce the risk that could happen in my organization. That is, install a software is not a privilege to all the users. Only the IT department should have the privilege to install, uninstall, or do change in the software. Even installing patch, it's a privilege that only the IT department should have. So I need to have a proper inventory in order to say all of these devices with these users that they are distributed or they are hybrid model or they are everyone on-prem in my organization. They have these privileges, and these privileges are aligned to my policy. My policy was created for the cybersecurity team and the compliance team. And they will come and ask a simple question. How much we are aligned to the compliance? The compliance said everybody needs to be restricted to install. We are in a 100% of compliance, or we are in 80, in 70, and 20. This is the question, simple percentage. But if you start to have some doubts, I'm not sure if the policy was already applied because I used the GPO from Active Directory, and I know the GPO was sent yesterday, but the devices probably are not restarted, and I need to wait until the end user restarted the computer in order to apply the policy. At that moment, you have another problem. Because I was saying before, you need to take the control. You need to be aware that you created a policy, that you deploy it, and the policy was already applied and effective. If you don't have that visibility, again, you are not having governance. Governance is a very important word that unify the management, unify the policies, unify the visibility, unify the supervision. You have everything. If you don't have the governance of your IT environment, that is when these type of gaps are start to occurring when I was mentioning the examples. And the last part is applications. Always I said that when we are talking about the end users, we need to have the three different layers initially to protect, to manage, and to secure. First one is the device that we already started. Second one are the privileges, and we have a domain named Identity and Access Management. That is how we are taking care of all the identities and the privileges they are assigned to the users. And the last layer is the applications. There are some, like I would say, third-party applications, commercial applications. We can start with someone that probably everybody is using. That is Microsoft Office. Probably we need to use Excel, we need to use PowerPoint, we need to use Word. That is mostly used. PDF reader. Whatever brand you are using, could be Adobe, that probably is one of the prominent, or could be another one, or could be an open source, but we need a reader for PDFs. And then we have other applications. Probably you can have your CRM. Some of them are cloud, probably only the browser is required, not an agent to install it, not a client-server model. But there are companies that are still using legacy softwares, that I need to install something, I need to install agents. So I need to understand the full inventory of my applications and which privileges these applications require in order to work and in order to upgrade to a new version or to install some updates. There are a lot of applications that they require local administrator or admin administration just to work. But that could be another risk, because if somebody already have access to that endpoint and use that application in order to jump to next application, that is a potential risk that I have. So I need to understand a full inventory of my applications and which privileges these applications are using in order to work in a daily basis. This topic about the endpoint management and all these areas are evolving in the time. Several years ago, we started with something named client management tools, because we're thinking that managing the operational system, applying the GPOs, the group policy objects, applying some policies, that was enough at that moment. And that was correct. But how the technology was appearing, new technology was appearing, new models, new devices. I would say like when the mobile device and the smartphones, as we were mentioning before, appears, something changed. Because in the past, we used the mobile phone to talk with another person when I was not in home to use the landline. But today, how many of you are using your mobile device to talk with someone? With a normal line, not with internet. The mobile phone today is more like to use internet, right? Even some people install WhatsApp, Telegram, or whatever other application. And what are you doing first? Is like going to WhatsApp and doing an internet call. You are not calling some people to the normal line. And if you don't have internet in your mobile device, sometimes you say, I'm not able to do nothing. I am not able to log into my bank. I can't pay my bills. I can probably even take the public transportation because my credit card is in my phone. If I don't have battery, I don't have internet, practically your mobile device is not usable, right? So that was another change that happened. And at that moment, I can say that one company that is still alive, but some of you use it, BlackBerry. That was one of the first companies that started to appearing to offer these communication services, internet, email in your phone. And that company created one tool to handle all of the mobile devices, centralize it. That was the breaking point, coming to the client management to the mobile device management. But the next was another revolution that happened in enterprise mobility and unified mobility also. These two we can put together. And I can say that Microsoft was one of the, I would say like companies that helped to jump to the next level. When Microsoft released Windows 10 and makes a revolutionary announcement saying, you can have Windows 10 in your laptop, in your phone, or in a tablet, in a Surface, that was the next generation. Because that was one single operational system in multiple devices, including the mobile. Even with other brands, you have the mobile OS and the desktop OS are separated. But when Microsoft introduced Windows 10, that was unifying all of the devices in one single. But at that moment, introduced another requirement. We need to have a tool to handle all of the devices. Not more, one for the mobiles, one from the laptops, another tool to handle the servers, another tool to handle the tablets. We need to have one single tool, and that is the word unify, endpoint management. But as the technology continued evolving and we were using the devices to do more activities, the security layer appears on the picture. And we need to do patch management, we need to do vulnerability manager, we need to do browser management. We need to have a proper management or what are you installing, how you are using, and even today we can create or we can use it our browser to do some like isolated operations. That's meaning I can create a policy and I can say, if my employee is logging to a banking portal, jump to the normal browser to one isolated session, removing all the extensions, removing all of the autofilling or something like that, and create more secure environment for that user, because the transaction that he or she will do, it's very confidential. That is what I can create this kind of policies. That is something we can do with the browser management. But till today, I was speaking management, security. What is the next? Next definitely is companies are requesting more simplified administration. The devices are growing drastically. And not only the company devices. Now we have that the employee is coming with a personal device. Because we can give one phone, corporate phone, or one corporate laptop. But the employee also have the personal device. There is an average globally that is mentioning that if we have an employee, and even if it's working in technology, in an average have minimum 3 to 5 devices. For example, in the company I have 3 devices. In my personal, I have my computer in my home, and I have my personal devices. I am part of the average. I have 5, and I'm using all of them all the time, because I prefer to have separated devices. Other people said, no, I don't want to separate. I have one single phone, and I have 2 lines with 2 SIM cards. For this line, they contacted me personally. For the other line, they contacted me. But that's meaning I'm using one physical device to have 2 different type of informations. My personal, that probably I'm taking pictures during the weekend with my family, with my dog, visiting things, or navigating in websites to purchase my next vacation package. But at the same time, I am receiving very confidential information from my company with a list of clients or next business I will do. Moving to the other side, I am the administrator of the company, how I can ensure my policy is applicable in a personal device. The person will say, you are not allowing to install nothing in my phone. You are not supervising my pictures. You will not restrict if I am working on this area, or if I am exiting, if I am moving. It's my personal device. That is when the moment appears like a bring your own device. You already have your personal device. Bring to the company that I will help you to install a separate profile. And we will have different profiles. This device is your personal. Here, you are the owner. And in the second profile, this is the company profile. And only here in this environment, I will have the applications, the corporate applications with some restrictions, with some accesses that you can do, or some actions that you can perform, or which actions you are not able to perform. So, but company needs to adapt, because the users today, they are introducing more devices to the normal day-to-day activities we are using. And with this introduction, obviously, controls, security layers, implementing different management strategies, modern management, all of these things are appearing on the table. I need to have a solution, a tool that can help me, and not multiple tools. If I have Windows, Linux, and Mac, that doesn't mean that I need to have 3 different consoles for each vendor, for each operational system. I need to have one single that can help me to simplify these things. To start to have my policy said, each month, in the second week of the month, Microsoft releases new patches for all the endpoints and servers. That's meaning in my organization, I will patch my devices minimum once per month. Or I can take more time, probably each 40 days or something like that, depending on the criticality of the patch. If it's just an information, if it's not affecting my infrastructure, I can probably take more time. But if it's a critical patch, it's a 0 day that something could be exploited, but one attacker, I need to patch today itself. And I need to deploy in a massive way to all my computers, all my endpoints in my organization. So that is why it's important to have tools that can help me to reduce these things. And imagine if I was taking that my employees are distributed in different cities or different countries across the globe, if I have an environment that probably is thousands of endpoints, of thousands of uses, doing manual tasks is not a choice, because probably when you finish, you will have to start again with the next 45 days that you need to patch again. So that is an impossible task to do. We need to do in an automated way. So I put it only an example in the patch management, that software deployment, troubleshooting, connect remotely to understand what is happening, zero trust configuration. That is majority of the features we need. But what is the future? Because till today, several tools are already in the market helping you to do these things. I'm not saying I'm talking something new. Till now, there are a lot of tools that are doing. Even the same Microsoft, that probably is one of the majority of the uses in your organization, because if you have an enterprise agreement for licenses, you will have a tool to help you with the enterprise mobility, you will have a tool to do patch management, you will have different modules. But the problem today is not about how we can apply the policies and manage. Problem today is how we can ensure that everything that we provide, from the device, application, privileges, roles, and everything, is enough for that employee. Because when I said enough is, if he is satisfied with the device, the application, and the connections, and even with the policies that we apply it, because there are some restrictions. Somebody in a company said, tomorrow we will create a new policy using websites like Facebook, YouTube, or social networks are not productivity tools. People are spending a lot of time in these websites. So what we will do, because compliance team said, block the access to all of these applications. And from IT, if somebody come and say, block this, we are happy to do that, right? We created a policy, we deployed the policy, and we apply it for everyone. Next day, or the same morning that we applied that policy, the community manager team comes to me to say, hey, I am working with the social networks, and you blocked me the Facebook, you blocked me Instagram. How supposedly I do the campaigns or the tracking of our presence in the market or something? My job is to work with the social networks. That's meaning somebody take a random decision without analyze the impact that is happening inside of the organization, or which user needs to be blocked and which needs to be whitelisted, needs to be separated. We need to have a proper inventory also for the positions of the people. If these people require to use YouTube on a daily basis, we need to have an exception. But that is another problem. We create a policy, exceptions will start appearing. When you have exception 1, 2, 3. At the moment you have more exceptions than policies, you are in another problem. That's meaning you created a policy that is not a proper policy for your company. You are too much restricting your employees, and they are not able to work. And everybody will be unhappy. And they will say, my performance is affected, my job is affected, my application is not working. They blocked me, that means I am not able to serve to this person or to this customer or to this prospect that are trying to purchase one of the services of my organization. That is why first, we need to understand what kind of security measures or policies we can apply based on my context, based on my core of the business, how we can protect in order to secure the devices. But at the same time, we need to provide a proper user experience. There is a word also connected with this, it's like employee empowerment. The employees needs to be empowered, needs to have the proper tools and applications in order to complete the activities they are doing. But in the other side also, we need to continue monitoring. And when I said monitoring, it's not supervising what the employee is doing, it's monitoring the telemetry of the endpoints. If this endpoint is healthy, if this endpoint is having some memory problems, some processor problems, of some software that was installed some time ago, till today, after 6 months, after 1 year, was never used. Why we install it, or that user requested that software, if never used it in the past 6 months? Probably we can do a better license management if we understand For the 1,000 deployments I did for the Microsoft Office, only 50% of them are using in a daily basis. The rest of the people are not using because they are not working in an area that they require Microsoft Office. We can probably reduce the cost of my licenses just having data, just having insights, just understanding how is the behavior of your employees. That is what is important, the supervising part, in order to improve my cost management, but also at the same time, reduce the quantity of applications I am installing in one computer. Some time ago, not so far, people were complaining, the employees were complaining. I have an agent from antivirus. I have another agent for the financial application. I have another agent for the EDR. I have another agent. We have a lot of agents here, and all of them are fighting. They consume all my memory, all my processor. When I open my PowerPoint, it's not working. It's crashing. It's like your computer is not able to open one more application because its memory is already full. Today, probably we don't have that problems. Today, we are talking computers that have like a more external capacity. We are installing a lot of applications, or even we reduced the quantity of agents we install, and we are more working in browsers. But who here faced the message, you don't have enough memory to open a new tab in the browser? Somebody received that message? Not yet. I know some people that have like 100 tabs open in one single browser. And said, I never close a tab, because if I close it, I will forget that I have opening, or I have a video, or I have something I'm working there, and they have 100 tabs, imagine, in one single browser. That is a lot of memory consumption, and that will affect the performance of the endpoint, definitely. So that is what is important to talk about these 3 points. So the first one, obviously, things security by default. That is how we are doing in the infrastructure, how we are doing in the servers, in the switches, in the routers. When you are designing a new architecture, a new schema to serve or to create a new services, we are thinking first in security by default. We start with the security, we are protecting everything, and under the security, we are putting the switch, the router, the server, we are putting an EDR, XDR, a firewall, web application firewall, etc. Exactly the same methodology we need to think in the endpoints. Think first on the security. Who will use this endpoint? What kind of activities this employee will use? This employee will be 100% in office, will be hybrid, will be traveling. How is connecting things in how they are using the device? Don't think in my company needs to apply this policy. Think in what kind of roles of activities that user will do, and together with the department head or with the other, I would say like a management of the people, you can design policies aligned for what they are doing. Obviously, compliance needs to be in the middle and needs to be a mediator, because probably the department head will say, I need everything open. But that is not possible, because if we do that, compliance will not be aligned for our internal requirements. We need to go a consensus between all the teams, but thinking on the security part. And then we have the other point. What happens if there are an exception? That is how zero trust appears on the picture. Zero trust is not a tool. It's not a box that comes to help me with everything. Zero trust is a framework, it's a strategy that you can implement in your organization, and you can put the conditions. You can say, okay, the last point I need to access is this confidential information. But before I reach this confidential information, I will put several conditions in the middle. I will put the condition that first, your device needs to be with the latest update of your operational system. That's meaning everything is patched. If you don't have this condition, you can jump to the next. Next, you are connected to a secure Wi-Fi, or you are connected to an airport Wi-Fi, open Wi-Fi, a Starbucks Wi-Fi, or restaurant Wi-Fi. We are evaluating the network access. If you are not in a secure connection, I will not allow you to go to the next step. Next step, authentication. You are authenticated with a normal basic authentication username and password, or you are using an advanced authentication that probably a part of the username and password, you are providing me probably an OTP, or we can say that like a facial recognition or fingerprint or whatever type of additional authentication we are having. That is why in the past we were naming two-factor authentication. Today is not more two-factor. Today is multi-factor authentication. I can demonstrate I am the person I want to enter to this application, to the server, or to this data in a different ways. Could be biometric, could be fingerprints, could be OTP, could be security questions, different. Even as a company, I can say these people that is accessing this data, it's only require username and password. But for other people, I will require two-factor authentication. For this, that is a critical area, I will require 3 levels of different authentication. Only when you are completing these 3 type of factors, at that moment, you will continue to the next one. If you see, I was putting my conditions. So at the moment, somebody called me, they said, you know, I am on vacation, but it's end of the month, end of the year. I need to close a deal today. So please allow me to enter to my financial application or my sales application. Currently, I am connected on the beach because I'm on vacation, but I need to close this deal. At that moment, you can say, okay, I can give you the access. But if you are meeting all of these requirements, the connection, the operational system, the authentication, you can put all of the requirements. That is why that access, we name it private access, is something similar we are giving in the privileged access management, in the PIM or PAM solutions, that we are providing access to the external vendors to access to my infrastructure. We can do the same in the endpoint. I said, okay, I will treat you as a provider, as an external person. As on you demonstrated that you have all of these requirements, I can give you access to your endpoint, and just for one particular application for a period of time. You have 30 minutes to complete your work. And I will be supervising everything that you are doing. I will have a full log of activities for what you are doing. That is how you are implementing measures in order to protect. If you are allowing to connect outside of your network when a person is on vacation for not an official computer laptop, so that is something you can put on the table. Should we allow or should we not allow to do these things? Technology, software to do that. There are a lot of vendors that can help you to do that. Next point, I was saying that the devices also needs to have supervision, but the possibility to be self-repaired. That's meaning we can create some remediation or solving actions based on a specific context. An example that we use it a lot of in the infrastructure monitoring. When we are watching a server or an application, we can put a threshold. Said, if your memory crosses 80% of use, identify which process are consuming more memory, kill the process, and restart again. That is something cool work, right? And we can automate one task like that. Imagine if we can create the same type of activities or workflows, but for an endpoint. I'm not talking about the servers, I'm talking about the endpoints. We can automate some activities in order to say, kill this application, restart this application, or clear the cache, or crash this application in a force mode because was not responding, and then restart again. So we can do some of these activities in order to maintain this self-repair. And we don't need to wait for a person that said, you know, I am here in front of my computer, I am waiting for the past 5 minutes, I am clicking, and the message said, not responding, not responding, not responding, not responding. I am not able to work. My system is not able to allow me to complete my task. So I can create this type of automations. Next one, obviously, we were saying, digital experience monitoring is employee monitoring is one of the important things. And with this kind of visibility, definitely we will go to the next layer, that is how we can have more intelligence system, how we can have systems that are helping me truly with the operations and with the satisfaction. So we started talking about the management, configuration, software deployment. We mentioned the security layer like a patch management, remote control. Now The new thing is how we add analytics, visibility, telemetry to our endpoints in order to be more efficient, and they can be more proactive when we are doing the management. Obviously, the resolution will be more faster. I don't need to spend a lot of time to check what is happening, how much memory this computer have. If the user was logging 3 days and never log out, that means the system is probably needs to release some cache or some memory or fragmentation or different other things. But I was mentioning the example of license optimization. I can have a proper visibility about the proper usability of the software. Not only if the person already have assigned one license, is if that license was depending if it's singular or plural, were used in the past. How many times was used in the past 6 months? Was used only once or was used on a daily basis? So we can have a different type of solutions or benefits that we can apply. And obviously, this kind of features like having the proper inventory of the application, and then we can see in a dashboard very quickly the memory use. As you said, 3 high memory usage happening in the last 24 hours. But that is an indicator, an insight. We need to go deeper and understand why. That is the kind of information for an administrator is very useful. How I can drill down having one of these red alerts, red flags, and going deeper. Obviously, he was saying here, the experience score for this employee using this device is not 100%. It's a 90, it's a 92, it's an 80, it's a 50, it's a 20%. Why is it 20%? I will see a lot of red flags in this area, including areas like space management, processor, battery, probably the life cycle of the battery is already reaching the maximum, the deadline, for example. All of these specific things can help me to take decisions in advance and not be aware or notified when the employee called me to say, you know, I have an issue with my computer. The computer, when I disconnected for the energy, is restarting because the battery is dead, it's not working anymore. I don't need to wait until the people tell me the problems. I need to be more proactive. That is what I was using the word before. Obviously, all of these things needs to be analyzed in a period of time. It's not like the situation. Today, you have 3 crashes. I need to understand if the same situation happened the week before, the month before, 3 months before, 6 months before. So information in the time is very important in order to take that analysis. And then we will see the different metrics that we have in order to take this decision and how each of these components are relevant for my organization. Because probably memory for one organization is very important because they are using huge applications that require a lot of memories. But you can come here and change this relevance. You can say memory for me is not a problem. More important is disk space, or more important is how to use this. You can customize the rules because if we have like a fixed telemetry, a fixed rules, you are thinking that all the companies, all the users are equal, and that is not the truth. We have here like a group of people, and probably you are consuming a lot of browser applications, and the other person probably is using a lot of Office application. And if we go to finance, they will use a lot of Excel. So each person, each department probably have different requirements and different metrics that needs to be applied. That is why your application needs to be customizable for your needs. That is why also you can create your own sensors. You can create a group of sensors that you are putting different conditions. You can put like a drag and drop. I need to analyze the power consumption. I need to analyze this. I need to analyze this. And also you can create your proper script doing the directly queries using PowerShells to the system in order to understand. If you want to go to this advanced level, definitely probably you need to have some support from the IT management in order to say, okay, what you want to do? I will help you to create a customized query specifically to this particular sensor. Or just with drag and drop is enough to create this type of visibility. With this, we can reach to the next level. When I already have information, now I am prepared to do the automation part. How we are doing automation? Based on the context, based on the insights that I am receiving, I can create some rules. I can create some automation. I said, at the moment you detect that the system is crossing these thresholds, or is crossing this usage, or the risk score, or the satisfaction score is crossing this line, you need to do these activities in order to improve the score, in order to release some load systems. Just at that moment, you will see some of these advantages: reduction of the time, employee productivity. And here we have a very simple example. Look at the first one. So there is a person that is trying to enter to a meeting. An application that you are using in a daily basis. Could be Zoom, could be Microsoft Teams, could be another different competitors you are using. The person started 9 a.m. trying to connect into the meeting. It's not possible. The system crashed. The application crashed. He's trying to repeat. He created a ticket. After 2 hours, the ticket was assigned to the support. Support is trying to do some networking things, some troubleshooting. You have a good internet connection. You have Wi-Fi. Did you open this? Did you close? Did you restart your computer? The basic troubleshooting things. Till next day, I said, was not our problem. Everything here was fine. The problem was the application was having an issue, and we received the information, and now we already fixed it. Was a wrong version that was installed. We need to do rollback. Probably 24 hours for some companies is a good time, because I said we recovered in the next day. We were okay. We don't need to take too much. But for critical companies, taking 24 hours just to know that an application was updated with a build that was incorrectly and was not working properly was nothing about my company. Was nothing about my Wi-Fi, my application, my laptop, or Chromebook, or whatever device we were talking. Was related to something external. With proper tools that you can have in place, automatically the application, it's having some rise on the score in a red. This memory, this processor, or this application, or this is in a red color. I can identify quickly, directly by the tool. And if I already have my root cause analysis that is using artificial intelligence in order to detect this anomaly or this deviation of the behavior, automatically set uninstall this build and roll back to the previous version, to the stable version. The time to resolve this very simple scenario could be less than 3 hours. In this scenario, we are not only improving my customer support satisfaction rate, also I am helping to the people to be able to complete the work. I am not stopping this person to join a meeting in the next day. They can continue in the first hour, second hour, depending on the scenario. Obviously, there are a lot of things that are coming behind of this, like how much money you are losing because your people are not productive, for example, or if you were not able to close a deal or something like that. There are other things that can be behind of this, but now we are talking about maintaining the people doing the activities they need to do. And all of these things is not stopping here. This is continue evolving. We already discussed about this. That was the previous year, the history. Now we are talking about the analytics and this layer. But this will continue evolving, and we'll continue talking about the different layers. Now we are talking about how we can be protected for the ransomware attacks, for example, to having solutions like anti-ransomware. If I already infected because I clicked in a file, I was infected, a malware, a ransomware enter, how I can be recovered from a ransomware, how I can return to my previous state, how we can do threat detection, investigation, and response. So we are entering to the EDR, XDR layers, and then I was already mentioning about the zero trust network access, zero trust internal or external access, threat hunting, how we can detect suspicious activities that are happening inside my endpoint, because my endpoint probably is already part of one botnet, and that there are malicious activities that are happening. I'm not talking at the CM or SOAR level. I'm talking that how we can detect different anomalous activities that are happening in my files, in my registry. Probably some employee installed like a Bitcoin wallet, Bitcoin mining software, and that person is using the computer from the corporate connected to the network to mining bitcoins, for example. That could happen in my organization. That is why it's very important to have all these different layers. The management, the application control layer, the analytic layers, and the full security layers, including the digital experience. That is our proposal from the management side. And not only one single tool will help you to do all these things. Obviously, if we have the connections with the help desk tool, all the situations that are happening can be created like a new ticket in your help desk tool, or can be notified to your CM solution, or can be escalated to the privileged access management in order to say, remove the privilege that you are already assigned to this administrator. But if you are not using our ecosystem of solutions, we are also having like a out-of-the-box integrations with existing systems. Probably you see some of our competitors' logos here, or some companies you are already using. I will mention ServiceNow, Freshdesk, Jira, Halo IT Service Management, the cloud environment, Okta, Zendesk. We already have proper integration with them, and we can connect and help you to what? To have a proper inventory, to trigger our help desk tickets when something wrong is happening, to help you to build dashboards to visualize the information, the multi-cloud management, the remote session more secure, different layers. That is what we are offering very quickly in a summary in Manage Engine. I didn't enter on details on products, on features or something, just the screenshots that I was sharing that what kind of information you should have. But if you have more interest to understand how we can help you to achieve the digital workplace, this digital experience or employee management, I will invite you to visit our booth in the F4. We have local people, we have our French partners also there available. They can give you a quick demo, 10 minutes demo, or we can schedule a meeting, we can run a proof of concept, and you can see how these tools can help you in a day-to-day to be aligned with the trends and to help you to solve the different problems we have. So management security is important, but satisfaction is also very important for the employees, because if the employees are not happy, they will not be able to provide their job to your customers. Thank you so much.